2023 was a pretty eventful year.
2023 was a phenomenal year. My name is Giselle.
My name is Giselle.
Very good.
And how was your year?
Good.
It started off with Cousin Leo's photography exhibit at the Southwest Arts Center, featuring images from Atlanta in the mid-1970s. It was something of a reunion of friends and family who came of age in that time and place. Meanwhile, Charles V and Langston were tearing up the basketball court.
I called it a AAA year, all about Andalusia, because everything was focused on the month that we were going to spend in southern Spain, starting with the rigorous training we did for the BPT bicycle tour.
We made a winter getaway to South Florida.
During the course of our training, we flew down to Fort Lauderdale and spent a long weekend on the Broad Walk with my bicycle training and indulging in the food of the city.
The state's oldest black bar association celebrated 75 years of existence. Several of our Atlanta friends joined us for the Alabama Shakespeare Festival's celebration of the Fisk legacy, and Charles IV served as featured speaker for our Montgomery Conference on Maternal Health. With the coming of spring, we managed to get away for an immersion into Spanish history and culture. Our first stop was Madrid.
Starting out our trip in Madrid, we stayed on Plaza España.
And our first stop in Madrid was the Prado Museum. So the Prado Museum is huge, but it has one of the more important art collections on the continent. The Prado National Museum holds and exhibits one of the largest collections of European art in the world. It contains more than 7,600 paintings, some of them on display here and some of them on loan to other museums. Being one of the most visited art museums in the world, the Prado National Museum is home to the works of many famous artists, both Spanish and international, such as Francisco de Goya, El Greco, Diego Velázquez, and Peter Paul Rubens.
For me, this trip was all about the culture and the cuisine. And I can tell you, Madrid checked all of the boxes with its numerous museums, and then my favorite eatery of all, the Mercado San Miguel, which is an upscale tapas market that had anything that your heart could desire. We're in Mercado de San Miguel in Madrid. It's a tourist destination, but it's also a great place for locals to come and get upscale goods. Madrid was a walking town. It was the one town where we probably did a good 8 or 9 miles in one day. We're in Puerta del Sol.
This is Plaza
Isabella II.
This is the courtyard of the cathedral and the Royal Palace. The Almudena Cathedral. Its construction wasn't begun until 1883, when it was consecrated by Pope John Paul II in 1993. The Royal Palace of Madrid is the official residence of the Spanish royal family in the city of Madrid, although now it's only used for state ceremonies. The palace has almost 1.5 square feet of floor space and contains over 3,400 rooms. It's the largest royal palace in Western Europe.
We moved on from there via high-speed rail, which I'm also a big fan of now, to go to Toledo. A very different vibe in Toledo, very narrow streets. Many of them cars cannot even go down, so pedestrians rule the road in Toledo. We're in Plaza Soca del Ver.
This is fascinating because the streets around here are filled with people that have to literally make way for cars to come through. The people are in control of the streets here. This is a fascinating place. The streets are narrow, the streets are steep, and we're going to be very careful while we're here.
In Toledo, we did a walking tour and then dined on traditional Castilian fare in a little restaurant that was steps away from our Airbnb.
Toledo marked our true introduction to Spain's multicultural legacy. It's often referred to as a city of three cultures, and that's because there were long stretches of time in which Islam, Judaism, and Christianity coexisted peacefully.
They lifted up the fact that the Moors, the Catholics, and the Jews all lived in harmony in that area for hundreds of years.
What's remarkable to me is that those periods of tolerance and coexistence are regarded as remarkable at all. I spoke to one person who said that the level of tolerance varied from time to time, depending on who was in charge at the time. From Toledo to Andalusia and back to Madrid. This time we settled in the Zaragoza neighborhood. We wandered around Retiro Park, Madrid's version of Central Park. And then we visited the Reina Sofia. This is Spain's National Museum of 20th Century Art. It's mainly dedicated to Spanish art, and highlights of the museum include excellent collections of Spain's two greatest 20th century masters, Pablo Picasso and Salvador Dali. We joined students and faculty from the University of Georgia, Spelman College, Morehouse College, Emory University, the College of Charleston, and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill as they gathered at the Penn Center on St. Helena Island, South Carolina for a 5-day cycle of research residencies. We traveled to the Hudson Valley to help Bard College award honorary degrees to Raphael Warnock, George Ball, Caitlin Bernard, John Carlos, Sandra Cisneros, Robin Kelly, and Barbara Liskoff, and Orville Schell, and Anna DeVere Smith. We had a mini reunion with some of our East Coast cousins, and we traveled north of the border to show where the world meets. We presented the Lillian Smith Book Awards live and in person for the first time since the pandemic. We helped the ACLU of Georgia celebrate 60 years of existence.
Hello, my name is Ansley. I am the granddaughters of Sandra and Charles. I am currently a sophomore at Georgia State University.
And we just gathered with family and friends. We gathered with friends for music on the Riverside. We gathered with friends for a weekend in the Big Easy. And we look forward to gathering with you in the coming year. Until then, from all of us to all of you,